Missing for a second there. Oh, we're back in. We're back. It's YEV time. YEV with me, Tim Aylen, Alex Grant, Kevin Booker. Alex and Kev.
Wave off the screen.
Wave the right hand.
Actually,
Alex and Kev are in the same room if people are confused by the two screens today. Well, I think maybe Alex or Kevin could just, maybe cozy up a little bit more so we can sit. No. I'm not sure how warm it is in Alex's house, but yeah. Sorry.
Live, eh? Yeah, there's latency on the there's latency on what I can see.
Well, just to kind of start us off, YEV is a balanced podcast all about cars, but mainly focusing on electric cars. And I thought this session we could talk about Autotrader's most recent report, which is interesting to say the least. And at the same time, we can help people by answering their specific electric vehicle questions, hence the little banner at the bottom here. Pop in your EV question in the chat, and myself, Alex, and Kevin will do our best to answer it. So, what did you guys think of this Autotrader report? And just, I suppose, actually, before I ask that question, which I already have asked, is the report was called No Driver Left Behind. Yes, it definitely left us something.
I think we're still at that kind of early stage, aren't we, with EVs, where there are some imbalances in the market, which we've come up with in previous podcasts. We've talked about kind of there are certain use cases that work really well, and there are still some affordability issues. So I think it's asking some valid questions, isn't it? So
it was asking some valid questions, but I think for them to put out a report, I mean, I love Autotrader. I love using it, but I've got a little bit of an issue of some of the stats that they sometimes use. And essentially, this report was generated by 2,600, 2,700 questionnaires.
And it depends as well with the questionnaires. It's going to be some bias in there by the kind of people they've given them to. It's just not a big enough sample set, isn't it? How did they determine who got the surveys and stuff? It doesn't really explain much about that.
I mean, I think there were some valid questions in there, and like I said, the answers are a little bit shaky in terms of the output based on the sample size, etc., and the way that they probably went about it. But it just felt all a little bit kind of, I don't know, just the phrases that they were using, like, oh, the EV adoption started with over 50 white males. It was like, and then at the end they were talking about the distrustful over 40 white males that normally watch GB News are stopping the electric transition progressing, and it just like what?
And apparently I shouldn't want an EV because I'm over 45, so therefore I shouldn't want one. I should be scared of them.
Terrifying things they are. I don't know why you'd want one of those on your driveway. Not never mind two charging through a kitchen window on a 3-pin socket. I mean, sketch. Yeah.
And I mean, some of the highlights I found is the comments. So it's supposed to be promoting EVs, and they've got highlighted comments in it. And then, this is someone apparently age 53 that was questioned. Unsafe, expensive fire traps that quickly devalue an expensive insurance.
The interesting thing is, though, when you have those kind of, I mean, those will be coming out of qualitative surveying. So they'll sit around and they'll have those discussions with people and they'll ask them. What's quite sad about that is that kind of shows the level of, disinformation that there is out there and how much that's actually sinking in with people. Yeah, this is what people are hearing about. And I know to an extent there's an element of kind of, I think with the way that news coverage tends to be quite polarizing at the moment, there is a tendency to kind of, if you are a bit resistant to it, I think to lock on to those things that will dissuade you from doing it. So it's interesting, I think, seeing when you see it sort of laid out like that. I mean, it might sound ridiculous from somebody who's sort of done a bit of research from our side of things, but it's quite concerning, isn't it, that those myths are still sort of trickling around?
Yeah, because here's another one. This one's especially, and
then we'll get to Financial Fletcher's question that you put in. But yeah, far away, Kev.
So the other one is, my family are far too precious to cart them around in a potential giant death trap firework. I mean, these are the sort of comments that they've highlighted.
Mm.
I mean, and that's someone who's 56.
Yeah, they kind of went hard on the negatives, and then I really do urge people to read that report. So just for everyone, it was no driver left behind report, and it just didn't seem very professional, really, or balanced, and that's what we like to I was going to say excrete, but that's probably
No, some of these comments you could argue were
that's like what we like to portray, and that's sorry.
I hate them. Dangerous fire bombs full of toxic compounds, awful for the planet. That's another comment. So your petrol and diesel cars so clean, and there's no compounds or terrible things in those.
Yes, like I said, we just like to practice balance here, and I thought it was worth highlighting because when I started reading, I just thought it's really a bit all over the place. But yeah, going back to the questions, because I'm really, really keen on anyone who's tuning in who hasn't got an electric car or wants to buy another one or has an electric car, got questions, then fire them in because we really want to get some interaction here on the on this particular episode. So Financial Fletcher's asked, am I ruining my Tesla by just fast charging it all the time? 2.5 years old with 60,000 miles. I would say, I think it really does depend, not just on DC charging. I think as a generalization, it'd be interesting to know what Kevin and Alex think here. As a generalization, yes, DC charging is worse than AC charging. However, I think that you can either mitigate that or massively reduce that by charging, DC charging it, let's say between 20 and 80%. Because I think it will do less harm doing it that way, rather than going from close to zero, higher up the I was going to say rev range, higher up the state of charge. But it's interesting because all the DC charging, all the batteries I've seen with high DC charging have been a lot worse. But then again, people do argue that battery management systems, especially the Tesla one, is supposed to be that good that it's not supposed to make as much difference. So, Kev, Alex, what are your thoughts on this?
So yeah, it's interesting that someone's brought that up because there's an interesting YouTube video at the moment on a Kia e-Niro. It's one that's it's probably close to Tim's heart. That was it.
I shared it on Facebook, Chargeheads Facebook. Is this the one with 280 odd thousand miles?
Yeah, 280,000 miles, and it must have been a taxi or something. So it's probably had a lot of rapid charging. But the state of health is like really good. It was a bargain as well because it was a non-runner, and all they had to put on it was a 12-volt battery to fix it.
Yeah, that was on Hubnut YouTube channel. So go and check it out. Or it's on the link is on Chargeheads Facebook group. Amazing. I think it's they did say that the battery health. This is an interesting one. The battery state of health was 100%. So it's clearly not 100%, but out of the usable battery, it's still 100%. So it'd be interesting to see what the actual state of health is. But the fact that it's not encroached on the usable battery is still pretty impressive, isn't it, Chats?
Yeah. I mean, it's all about heat, isn't it? Well, a lot of it's about heat in terms of how well that's controlled. And I think manufacturers are learning I know for facts, I've talked to some of the people who are working on this. They're getting a bit more of an idea about what works under certain conditions and kind of how to optimize the chemistry and optimize the way that the heat is managed. That is going to sort of reduce that. And obviously, as the range gets longer, you need to charge potentially less and less and less compared to an early car like the Leaf or a Zoe, where you really are constantly topping it up. If you've got something like a
I was going to say, is it time to stop talking about the Leaf? Because every time we have to talk about the Leaf, because it's the odd one out, isn't it? When it comes to DC charging, battery degradation. Shall we maybe put a banner at the bottom saying everything that we talk about does not include the Nissan Leaf?
Well, if we're talking balance, there's a lot of people who are going to kind of. It's almost like a kind of a comparison point, isn't it? A lot of people are going to have. There's a lot of people who will have kind of cut their teeth driving a Leaf. There's a lot of those filtering down now into the A lot of people kind of that they filter down to being quite affordable second vehicles. So I guess it's kind of worth if that's your first Leaf, your first EV, whether that was new a few years ago or whether that's kind of now as a kind of a banger kind of vehicle. A banger. Can an EV be a banger? Do you call them a sparker?
EV banger racing. I was just thinking about it. The cogs were turning. We still need to
They've
do
never stopped
EV
turning.
banger racing with Nissan Leafs. I'm determined.
Is this the thing? You're determined to remove all the old Leafs that have got battery degradation off the road by banger racing them. So you need a constant supply.
Exactly that. Exactly that. Then, they'll go up in value like all the drift cars did, Let's just get through the comments because there's quite a few and I'm keen to make sure that we're answering questions today. So Lewis Standing, thank you very much for adding this. So he's mentioned that the turbocharger is now approved for North Tyneside. Only took 4 years of email. So good work if that was your email action. I love this. Commuter branch line, Autotrader have definitely ideas above their station. They have forgotten what they are they are an advertising platform for cars. The more independent dealers that vote with their feet, the better. I don't disagree with that statement, to be honest. They've got a bit of a monopoly, haven't they? I've not seen this chap comment before. Maze Wather, I think I probably pronounced that wrong. Sorry if I have. At 68 years old, I should never want an EV. Odd that I have been driving EVs since 2017 and we currently have 2. I must be a tree hugger. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Thanks for your comment, buddy. Mike Aylen, time to do a balanced university research department approved survey. Yes. Well, if you can make any recommendations, Mike, that'd be great. Bev Evolution UK, good to see you, mate. Why do you think there is such hatred towards EV owners, drivers from so many ICE drivers, particularly men? Sexuality, gender, political views, intelligence, and worse are being thrown around frequently. Don't disagree with that.
I think with that, it's the change resistance thing, isn't it? People don't like to be told that they need to do something which amounts to a big change in their lives for the greater good, for the greater good. That comes across as
tree huggerish.
No, not tree huggerish. What's the film? I can't remember what the film's called. Anyway, one of the Cornetto films. Well, yeah, I can't remember what the flipping thing's called with the police in it.
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz. Yeah, the greater good. Anyway, so I'm completely off on a little tangent here. People don't like to be told to make changes that are big, that they perceive to be disruptive, do they? They don't like to look at the bigger picture. They kind of end up focusing in on their small picture. And this is where this whole woke thing comes in, isn't it? Is that people don't like people. Woke is basically a label for that seems inconvenient, or that means a big change, or reflecting on what I'm doing in a way that means I have to change the way that I behave, and therefore I'm just going to write it off as woke and nonsense and kind of just cast it to one side.
You have to have purple hair and not necessarily be any particularly. You have to be a fuzzy bunny or something.
Fuzzy bunny. Are we talking about furries here, or are we?
I don't know. Let's move on. So back to the questions. Financial Fletch put currently 95% battery health. LFP battery Model 3 2023. That was from earlier with your 60,000 miles. That's pretty good, really. I mean, for an LFP battery, I would say that's probably about right with the amount of DC charging you're doing, Fletch. But thanks for sharing the data there. Branch lines. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, I think with the batteries in Tesla, I think it's probably the way they measure them, because I think they show you the whole battery, so you see the degradation, whereas like a lot of the other brands show you the usable, and that's why. So you're just burning through your unusable part of the battery. So I think it's just. I don't think it's really that much of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think even though my Tesla that's done 230,000 miles, that's 70%. And arguably that Kia Niro's clearly got a better state of health battery than my car. And so what's the difference there? Is it because the Kia battery's better? Could well be. It could be the fact that the car was kept at a state of charge higher for a longer period of time, or reduced down to a low state of charge for a long period of time. There's so many variables in this. I don't think it can be, it can't be.
I would say one thing, driving sort of vehicles on that platform. So my wife's Hyundai Kona is the same powertrain, is they're very gentle with their battery on rapid charging. So they never really cook the battery. That's the one thing, is they're quite slow at charging. 70 kilowatts is fast on a Kona and an Niro of that era.
And the Model 3 takes 250 kilowatts.
Yeah.
Bang.
So I think the Kia and Hyundai have always been very careful DC charging their batteries.
That's a really good point. Same with the i3. I think the i3 stems from that. Let me just get through these comments, chaps. So Commute Branch Line has put in, so according to Autotrader survey, reply EVs are a firework, but a combustion petrol vehicle that has thousands of explosions per minute in front of a 50-litre petrol tank behind you isn't a firework. Exactly. Nissan Leaves. Yeah, I think Nissan is... left the chat. Nissan Leaf would be a brilliant second car for local school runs and shopping. Absolutely. Hello, what are you guys up to? Well, we're just chatting about cars, really. We're gassing. And in fact, I'm not sure if you see. Do you like that?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I got it for a Christmas present many years ago. Charge is hard for a lot of people. Change, sorry. Yes, absolutely. The greater goods. What is the panel's option about PHEVs compared to BEVs? That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I think they might all be slightly different on this,
Yeah, I think we probably are.
Depends what era of PHEVs we're talking about as well.
Yes and no.
For me, anyway.
It depends massively on the model, I think. Not just the era. The era certainly plays a part in it. I don't know who wants to go first on this one.
Go on then, Alex.
Fine. So no, there's a real mix. I think there is a place for used properly. This is the big thing. Usage is the big part of it. If you're willing to use a PHEV properly, they can be absolutely great cars, because actually a lot of people, and let me add the caveat for that in a minute, but if you use them properly, most cars, let's face it, do a lot of local trips and then occasionally need to go really long distances. Now, early EVs are not brilliant for that, for the most part, unless you're picking up like an old Model S or something like that. But if you had something like, say, and there's an abundance of these available, the Outlander sold in droves, right? There's masses and masses and masses of Outlanders out there. That's a proper jacked up estate car. It's a really practical family car. The range isn't amazing on it, but it's probably enough to cover your day-to-day mileage as long as you're willing to plug it in every night. You can rapid charge it, but rapid charge. And so from the point of view of actually getting your first rung on the ladder, the vehicles that sold in large amounts 10 years ago, mostly into fleets because of like massive tax breaks and all the rest of it, are actually quite good as a first rung in, first step on the ladder into plug-in vehicle ownership. And so there's a place for those, and they're that bit. You wouldn't be able to buy an EV with that sort of versatility for the same sort of money. Now there's a real mix within it. So what I say about kind of the picking the right model. An Ampera, for example, is a really good early EV, early plug-in hybrid. Although it's a range extender, but it basically does the same thing. It's got a reasonably good electric range on it. Quite dented practicality-wise compared to the Outlander, but something like an Ampera, or again, I'm encompassing E-Revs into this, or an i3 Rex, you've actually got quite a lot of the benefits of an EV for a lot less money than an EV with that sort of versatility would cost you. So what I'm saying is there's a real role for plug-in hybrids, I think, as kind of that first rung on the ladder for that democratizing semi-EV ownership, and I think that's really important. I think a lot of them have been sold to people into use cases where they haven't been a great fit. A lot of the early ones were sold as an alternative to diesel, and they just weren't good for that at all. I think there's a place for them if you use them properly. I think that place is temporary. I think you'll get even now that you're getting longer and longer and longer ranges, the reality is these days, for every plug-in hybrid that you could opt into, there's an EV that does it better. And so I think they are a steadily more and more obsolete technology, with some use cases for things like the Passat, for example, where you've got quite a long EV range, and actually you probably find on the motorway journey it would be cheaper per mile to stick fuel in the tank than it would to charge it at a motorway charger at 80 odd p a kilowatt. So they've still got a use, but I think that use is, the window is disappearing. That's a long-winded answer, I think, but yeah.
Kev, what do you reckon?
I only do long-winded answers. I don't talk.
Now, see, I think, some of the older ones are very compromised. So with the range, whereas like some of the newer stuff, and there's a price advantage. So you need 7 seats. You can get in like a Cherry Tiggo 9, which can do 90 miles plug-in range, and then it's significantly cheaper than your comparison would be like EV9, Ionic 9, Maxus, Mifa 9. So that's, you can, if you need that type of thing, it's a significantly lower price point to get in an EV. And do you think that all these new ones have similar range, if not more range, than some of the early EVs that we were driving? So I think they've got a place where, there's some areas of the market like 7-seaters that aren't served particularly well with affordable EVs. The EV9, Ionic 9, really nice, but you're not getting much change out of 60k for that. And something like, you're talking 20k less for the plug-in hybrid. And it's a way to get people into that. And they'll, as the prices come down, people will be getting into sort of used EV9s, Ionic 9s.
There's an awful lot of. I mean, it was interesting 10 years ago when the likes of BMW and Mercedes got into plug-in hybrids, in that Mercedes for a while did a diesel hybrid, so non-plug-in C-Class, and an E-Class as well, and they also did a petrol plug-in hybrid E-Class. And as a day-to-day car, the diesel hybrid was the better of the two, I think, because the plug-in hybrid of that and the 3 Series had a tiny, like 10-15 mile electric range, and a battery that then took up so much space. If I remember correctly, the fuel tank on the 3 Series was the 40 litres, which is nothing. I mean, it's a tiny, tiny fuel tank in quite an inefficient car when you run beyond the electric range, which you will do all the time. I mean, 10 to 15 miles, I think, on a 15 on a good day. So, I remember when I had one of those, I spent a week just basically filling it up with fuel or charging it. It drove me nuts. But Outlander, by comparison, felt like a much better vehicle.
I've only experienced one diesel hybrid, and that's not a pleasant diesel hybrid.
I know what you're going to say.
Does anyone remember the Peugeot Hybrid 4 diesel, which was significantly worse fuel economy than the diesel without the hybrid system? And it was awful to drive.
I know of a certain economy driving event where despite the fact I think it was a fleet of, they were French plated 3008, so I don't think any of them met their official figure, with like some of the UK's best eco drivers behind the wheel. They were dreadful.
I could never
get good on paper, but my God, they were awful.
I struggled to get 35 mpg out of one of them.
Notchy, horrible things as well to drive.
I think the Q7, Audi Q7, they did a diesel hybrid. But I mean, just to get back to the question, which was, what is the panel's opinion about FEVs versus BEVs?
Yeah.
It's your turn now, Tim.
Yeah, I know. So I was waiting patiently. It makes a change, doesn't it? Is that if it's a FEV, I would only buy a FEV and recommend a FEV if you're buying it new or within the manufacturer's warranty, unless it's a Toyota. And that's the only time I'd buy a plug-in hybrid. If it was still in, and for the use cases, yes, okay, first step into the electric-ish world, and you're a little bit worried about range, or you do local driving, then you've got a long run, you're worried about charging because it's in the middle of nowhere. But I personally think that the charging's good enough now that it's absolutely fine to buy any electric car, depending on the actual total range of the vehicle and all the other bits that come with it. Because, EV can be very complicated, especially when it's used cars, because you get to a point where, hang on a minute, yes, okay, I could buy this electric car for £3,000 to £5,000, but actually there's going to be a 5% of my use case that it's not going to be doable at all, or it's going to be massively inconvenient. But just for FEVs, I would only, like I said, I wouldn't want to have one out of warranty unless it's a Toyota. But just try and go down the route of BEV if you can, if it fits your use case and it's cost effective. You can charge at home or charge it at work. I just think the reason for it is just the extra complication. There's a lot to go wrong there, a hell of a lot. And from my point of view, it's only Toyota that have proven the reliability with it all. Really.
I know you say Toyota, but I would add that the fact that the Mitsubishi stuff, I've run a fleet of Outlanders. Yeah, and they have been our most reliable vehicles.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. No, I don't disagree with that, Kev. And I was seriously considering buying one because a lot of the cheaper ones, there are cheaper ones out there for about, I think last time I looked, about 5, 6, 7, 8K, but they've done serious miles. So it'd be interesting to know what the reliability of the higher mileage ones were. But I'm a big advocate of Mitsubishi. It's a shame that they left the UK, but their emissions and I don't think their fuel efficiency is always that great.
But good news on that. They're coming back next year, or this year, sorry, with a plug-in hybrid. And I think the L200 is coming back, but it's not going to be the L200. It's going to go by its global name, which is the
Triton.
Triton, yeah.
Sounds good. Right, let's get through some of these. There's a really good one here again from our new commenter, which I'm not going to pronounce the name again, but thanks for chipping in again. The speed of progress of new generation of EVs so fast. Would you recommend leasing or PCP or buying outright? Now, I've been thinking about this one recently, and arguably there might be a use case, and I know that Alex isn't a big advocate of this, but I personally think you should go for a really good used EV that's taken the hit of depreciation and just wait until, full self-driving AI robots can just take us anywhere. Get your app out. I saw your smirk, Alex. Get your app out, press the button, pulls up outside. If you don't care about driving, that is going to be the future. So, in my opinion,
Yeah.
Alex, what do you reckon?
We'll be on 3rd or 4th generation solid state batteries and flying cars, I think, before we have anything autonomous that takes us anywhere. But
if I see one more news thing about solid state batteries just been launched
around the corner,
it's like hydrogen. Hydrogen's just around the corner, Tim. Haven't you heard?
Yeah, it's a shame there's no hydrogen petrol stations. I mean, fuel stations around the corner. That's the only problem, isn't it? But yeah, sorry. So I think that's the route I would go. Either HP, PCP, if you can get a good low interest rate, but just buy used, because there's some cracking used cars out there. But no, actually, sorry, tell a lie. Always compare it to the new PCP deals out there if the rate is good. So look at, what's the outgoing? What's the total, what's the total cost you're paying over the 2, 3, 4, or 5 years? Just compare it new versus used and see what's the best value for you. I think that's the best way of looking at it.
I'd say the same. I think the state of the market as it is at the moment, I think things will balance out. I would go sensible, not buy an EV with a massively high price tag when it was new. So I'd be warier about coming out and buying, like I say, a Taycan second hand, because you still get the bills that come with the car of that sort of price tag with it. Much as I'd say the same about, if you're after, I wouldn't go Bangonomics with a Panamera or something like that. You've got to have the financial flexibility to absorb the occasional big bill with a vehicle like that and treat it as a luxury car. But I think if you're buying, I'd quite happily go out and buy secondhand a Kona or a Nero or an ID3 or a Model 3 or something, one of the kind of the regular. You were waiting for that, weren't you?
I can't believe you said ID3 though. I
wouldn't be that bothered about it. I think I'd be okay driving an ID3 secondhand, just as a runaround kind of vehicle.
I'm just talking from a reliability point of view, because their battery modules are just not that reliable. So I just wouldn't trust buying one. Although, keep it within warranty, because what's the battery warranty on the ID3? Was it 8 years?
Most of them are about 8 years, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just something for people and listeners to be aware of. That's all. But certainly, the Korean stuff and the Model 3 and the Teslas are pretty good in that respect. And
the state of the market as it is at the moment, there are some cracking deals out there to pick up. MG5 as well. Can't help but get the MG5 into that shortlist.
Got to get it in, mate. Got to get it in.
Yeah, you say this about buying used ones, as I've ordered a new Model 3. But
you like shiny new things, Kev. You're like a magpie.
Yeah, it's true.
I like shiny old things that have done less mileage than your shiny newer thing.
I like rusty old things.
You like a bit of both. So,
but no, Kev, you it's all about efficiency, and you've gone for the most efficient vehicle. But saying that, everyone's talking about the Mercedes CLA. Everywhere I can see people talking about Mercedes CLA. But have you driven one yet, Kev?
No, not yet. But the problem is it's a lot more expensive than a Model 3, and you don't get that much more range out of it. And that's the thing. You're paying the Mercedes premium, aren't you, for that 3-pointed star? And
if you actually go for the basic spec one, it's got a really good WLTP range. But if you go for the spec which is close to the actual standard spec of the Model 3, long range, then they put the bigger wheels on, and then the WLTP range is the same as the Tesla Model 3 anyway.
Yeah. I've become I guess it's years and years and years of driving around in stuff that really did have quite low range, and also having the van, the Rifter that we had, that the range on that wasn't great. It was manageable, but it wasn't great. I did a back-to-back this week. So this week, people may or may not have seen, but it was UK Car of the Year category awards were released, and I'm a judge on that. So I did a session on Tuesday, kind of catching up with all the shortlisted UK Car of the Year sort of finalists. Got to do a back-to-back with the Renault 5 and an Alpine A290, and it was a fun bit of twin testing that was. So I took the 5 out, and I thought, actually, you know what? This is enough. It's quick. It's kind of quite well sure-footed. Steering, a lot of people talk about the steering being a little bit numb. It's fine. It's kind of like a standard modern car. And I came back and I got in the A290, and I was giggling before I left the car park. And I was like, yeah, I'd have the 290.
Oh,
and
really?
the range on the 290 isn't brilliant, and I know that, but I kind of think I could live with it. I could quite happily daily an A290, and the deals on that are pretty good. It's quite yeah, I'm quite tempted by one of them.
So it's the range.
Sorry, Kev, you go.
So is the range not good on the 290 because the way you drive it, or encourage you to drive it, or is it just
bearing
not
in mind
as
that
good?
I picked up a pool car, a test car that I spent the entire day with different people getting behind the wheel of it, so it probably had quite a tough day by that point. Probably wasn't giving it the best on range, but I mean, I think I could live with the range in it.
So I really want to dive into this, because I really want to drive these two cars back to back. So what was kind of shouting out at you were the main kind of differences between the 5 and the Alpine?
So when you get into the Alpine, the dashboard layout is similar, but you've got this big steering wheel in front of you with a big blue like twisty dial for the regen, and like a big boost button on your thumb. So but you get out onto the dual carriageway, and you push this button, and the clocks are these kind of pyramid shaped things, they're triangular things on the side, and it gives you this kind of warp speed effect, and it goes off like a rocket with the steering wheel. I mean, it's quite aggressive. It's not a particularly fast car, but it's just one of these cars that just begs you to just kind of grab it by the scruff of the neck and it's great size wise for UK roads. And it's chuckable. It's really enjoyable without kind of being, there's a lot of excess in this era of EVs, right? There's an awful lot of excess. This just feels like an old school petrol hot hatch, but quiet. It's everything except the noise. The only thing I would say is actually the blue twisty knob for the steering wheel for adjusting the regen. I would prefer that on paddles, but there's the joie de vivre of driving this thing, and it's grabbing at the road, and it's kind of, it's wonderful, hilarious little thing to drive. And I really, 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 really want one. I'd definitely buy one with my own money. So make do with the lack of space and stuff. It's hilarious.
So everything's a bit sharper. Everything's a bit more.
Everything's a bit sharper. Yeah, the 5 is a good steer actually. I took one on those country lanes all around the place. It actually feels really sure-footed. It's again, I mean, it's warm hatch, quick. It's when I took the longer range one out in not top spec, so one down from top spec. Not that you can really, nothing really obviously missing from it. It had pretty much everything, I think, except like heated seats and a couple of other little kind of gadgets and stuff. But there's just there's all these little things in the Alpine that just put a smile on your face, and just the way the thumbprint with the little the thumb activated overboost function is just grin-inducingly hilarious. It's a great little car.
Oh, now you
and all these boring people go, oh, EVs have got no soul. It's like, no, you take that car out and you tell me it hasn't got a soul. It's absolutely overflowing with soul. The 5 too. The 5 is a cute little car, really, really cute. But unfortunately, having driven the A290, I think I'd probably go for the Alpine over the 5, because I'd always feel like hadn't quite gone full fat.
Do they try and hide that it's a 5?
No.
So they do. They clearly say it's a 5.
It's interesting how different it is. So looking at the two of them side by side, you realise actually the Alpine's really quite a different looking car. Like the bumpers are different, the tailgate's different. There's a big piece of horizontal trim across the tailgate on the 5 that's not there on the Alpine. The doors have got these big kind of almost like Ferrari Testarossa style kind of faux, very kind of dimmer kit Renault 5 Turbo kind of start, and the interior's got the same seats, but they're kind of faux leather trimmed. Completely different steering wheel. The center console, so you've got the kind of the same buttons like you get in the A110. So the start, drive, neutral, and reverse buttons on the thing, and a different steering with all these additional switch gears, different displays and stuff inside. And you get bigger wheel arches. You get wheel arch extensions on the Alpine that you don't get on the 5. It's just a really cool little car, and I think a future classic as well.
This begs the question then, do you think that Ford and Nissan might be doing a sports version of their particular vehicle to compete with the Alpine?
Ford doesn't capitalize on using that. They're missing a trick. A Fiesta ST based on that would be good fun.
It'd be the money.
It'd be good fun.
Begs the question, doesn't it? If anyone's heard of anything that's happening in those markets, those brands with something hot, let us know. Whack it in the chat. Let's go through all of the comments that came in. So, Bevolution UK, we've got a Peugeot E5008 GT, and I've been really impressed with it. At 15k less than an EV9 Ioniq 9, it's a real unsung hero if you need a 7-seater, which so few EVs offer. What do you guys think? That's one for Alex for sure.
I've got a question. How are they all usable 7 seats? Because that's what worries me about that. Is it just like an occasional seat in the back row?
So I know that I could just about squeeze the 3 boosters. So the acid test that I have for 7-seaters is whether you can get 3 booster seats across the back. Because otherwise, it's not a 7-seater, it's like a 6.5-seater. And most 5-seat cars are actually 4.5, 4 2/3, which is fine for short journeys. And people kind of go, yeah, well, not everyone's got 3 kids. I've got 3 kids who were all at one point all in booster seats at the same time. The Rifter has got 3 proper seats in the back. So you can have two seats in the front, 3 full-size seats in the back that you can get these booster seats into. They're broad-shouldered things, booster seats. Now, as much as that might sound like it's not important, how often do you have like a friend over or a grandparent in tow? Things like that. And these are things that a family car has to deal with. And actually, if you've got a lot of cars, even quite large cars, if you put booster seats in the outer seats, you've got such a slim middle seat that it's completely useless. XC90, for example. I mean, I had 2 XC90s back-to-back. Had a plug-in hybrid with a built-in booster seat in the middle and a regular it was XC90, the diesel mild hybrid one, which didn't. And in the plug-in hybrid, we never used the 3rd row because you could put the 3 kids across the back just by having this kind of lift-up booster seat in the middle. It just kind of made all the difference. If you didn't do that, the seats were so you couldn't get the middle one in. Yeah. Anyway. Yes, so 7 seats, very important. The EV9 will just about get them in the back, but it's not a proper middle seat in that. I think the 5008, the old 5008 certainly had 3 proper seats across the middle. It was one of the few. There was that, and I think the Audi Q7 also was a proper 7-seater. Audi Q7 was a proper 7-seat vehicle in terms of you could get 3 Isofix across the back. 2, I think even the 3rd row had Isofix. So the idea of having 6 kids of Isofix age on board just sounds like hell on earth. But yeah, I mean,
someone's obviously not been watching TV if they get to that point. They've been busy, but not on the sofa. Well, maybe the sofa. Yeah. Who knows?
I can't remember off the top of my head whether the 5008 still has. I have a feeling that it doesn't. The latest one doesn't have 3 proper seats across the back like the old one did.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Lewis has popped in a comment. Do you think that as charging rates increase, it will actually make long distance trips worse? E.g., 18 minutes on an Ioniq 5, it's hard to eat, pee, and go. 12 minutes on an Xpeng G6 is no benefit. Do you think that? Oh, charge it right. Okay. I mean, the main problem with fast charging speeds is actually, having time to actually go and have to the restroom and go and grab a coffee without actually having to take your car out of the charging bay and getting charged in some particular instances, especially if you only want to do a certain amount of charging. So I think, charging speeds, I think, are at that point already where they're fast enough. It's the infrastructure that needs to catch up now. Not so much from a Tesla point of view, but on all the other all the other chargers where they might be sharing power and splitting power, where 150 or 400 kilowatt chargers only charging at 70 kilowatts, as long as the battery's warm enough and the electric vehicle can take it. So I don't think electric cars, really, the charging speed needs to be any quicker than all of the latest ones. It's just the infrastructure that needs catching up. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Interesting you say that. I had a chat with one of the battery guys at BMW about a year ago, and they were saying with the Neue Klasse, where they've designed basically it's designed for whatever battery chemistry you want to put in it. So they can localize production, they can add solid state later, LFP. It's really adaptable. But I was asking about solid state, and you're saying, yeah, obviously that's on the roadmap, and we'll consider it as the technology becomes available. But they were saying once you get to sort of range and efficiency and charging speeds that you're starting to get into the latest generation EVs, you don't really need anything that goes much further than that. You kind of get into the point where it's like, how much do people want to pay? In your really high end stuff, yeah, fine. But in a sort of 3 Series size car, how much of a premium are people prepared to pay for that little bit less, when actually what we're getting to now is a position where you can talk about kind of 12-minute charges and stuff. If you're clever with how you use it, and you don't have to be that clever with how you use it, it's not actually a big deal to be where we are today.
Yeah, and I found a solution to that charging speed. My Ionic 5 is pre-battery heater, so in the winter it takes ages and only pulls 32. And in the summer it pulls like nearly 200. It's like so extreme. So that's my top tip. If you're going to get an Ionic 5, make sure you get the version with the battery heater. The early ones didn't have it.
So commuter branch lines just popped in. The whole forced ICE vehicle impending ban really gets people's back up. Folk just see restriction of choice and freedoms, and Donny like it. Messaging around EVs and sustainable transport is truly hopeless. I think, yeah, you're right. I think, maybe encouraging people in a slightly softer way. I think might not be a bad idea. Sorry, Kev, what were you going to say?
Then you get like stuff that local authorities sometimes struggle to communicate stuff. Like you've probably heard about the zones for congestion in Oxford, which is causing no end of conspiracy theories that it's 15-minute cities. You've been going to have to show your papers to go from one area of the city to another. And it's like, they're just not great. They use the wrong choice of language sometimes. Saying permits and permissions, it's the wrong type of language, which gets people nervous.
Yeah, no, understandably. Cartoon Boy, thanks for the comment, mate. My wife's Nissan Leaf has a real world range of less than 20 miles. However, we'd never buy a hybrid. You get the worst of the petrol and EV worlds combined together in a heavy, complicated vehicle. Yep, I couldn't disagree with that. I'm hoping that you're not going to do any long journeys in that Nissan Leaf, Cartoon Boy, because that'll be quite a few stops. But yeah, makes complete sense. With HP contracts, once you've paid 50%, you can exit the agreement without paying any further. Absolutely. So you can voluntarily terminate it, or as they call it in the trade, vodka and tonic. Getting an MG for the missus, still in battery warranty, and only 6K, £6,000. Nice. Is that
That's a workhorse car. That's got to be a shorter range one. As a workhorse car, I don't think you can go far wrong. And actually, there's a few fleets using quite a few of those now, and they seem to be lasting, don't they?
I'm guessing for that money, it's a style non-long range, but I'm interested to know what spec it is, Cartoon Boy, because there's obviously a couple that they do. What else we got in here? Sorry, missed the comment there. There we go.
What are your thoughts? By the same person who named the Mitsubishi Charisma. I think those trim levels, but yeah.
What a classic car that was, the Mitsubishi Charisma.
No, you cannot attach the word classic to a Mitsubishi Charisma.
Well, it is a classic. I mean, you never see it. I mean, that's got to be at the festival of the exception.
Lucky us.
Didn't Tokyo refer to the Mitsubishi Charisma, the car that has none?
Volvo S40, wasn't it? Charisma. It's basically the same mass. Well,
I'm sure being a Mitsubishi, it'd be reliable as you like anyway.
Was that GDI engine any good? Because it was one of the really early direct injection petrols, wasn't it? I mean, everything is now, but
I did go down a rabbit warren with this a while back. Sorry, this is a little bit of a rabbit warren. Speaking of Mitsubishi Charisma, I wondered how closely it was related to the Lancer, because if it's related to a Lancer, then that would mean that you could put an Evo powertrain into an S40 and have a proper little sleeper. But actually, it's not related at all to the point that you'd be able to do that without doing a huge amount of work to it.
Why did you say you talk about the Volvo S40? Yeah, because my dad actually had a Volvo V40 with the 1.8 Mitsubishi engine in it.
Yeah, they were both built on Nedcar, so they are the same vehicle.
Yeah, I don't know if he was commenting earlier, but yeah, he waxed lyrical about that specific engine. A bit like me, I get a bit hyper focused in certain areas, and yeah, that was a good engine for that particular car. Yeah, enjoyed that one. I think he sold it in the end. Nice peacock green with the cream leather and the BBS rims. I think it was his first new car. Nice.
S40 was a good looking car. S40, first generation S40 was a good looking car.
So is the Polestar 2, was that technically an S40 replacement?
Yeah, I think it might have been. If you look at those were presented as the 40.1 and 40.2 concept. So I think the Polestar 2 may have started out life as being a if you think about it, they've got 40 series, 60 series and 90 series. What probably was at one point considered to be the new S40, but never turned up as that.
So I'm just looking at pictures of Mitsubishi Charismas. Because I can remember the back of it, but I can remember the front of it.
They looked a bit like a kind of slightly softer Lancer, don't they?
Yeah,
but they're not. I mean, they're not. They're really quite different. Yeah.
Don't people try and put Lancer style body kits on them as well?
Yeah, possibly, but yeah, they're not.
Yeah,
they're pretty horrid. Yeah.
Not a bad looking thing. Anyway, moving on. So what are our thoughts on the Smart #3? That is which one is that? Because they all look
very similar, but they're different sizes, don't they?
It's a Geely platform, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's essentially a Chinese made car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It's the more rounded
Brabus, don't they?
Yes. So for people that don't remember what it looks like, there we go. There's the Smart #3. I mean, it is kind of Mercedes backed, isn't it? The Smart brand. I don't think it's a bad car. I mean, I've sat in a couple and I thought the quality was quite good inside, but yeah, I don't really have too much of an opinion on them, really. I mean, if you get a good bargain.
I haven't driven one, but yeah, I mean, I think they're kind of funky looking things. They just don't really follow. For me, they don't follow on from the original Smart kind of classic.
They are coming back with a Smart 2, aren't they? Which is going to follow on from that.
I was going to say, Rodney, what are you considering? Are you considering new? Are you considering used? Just to give us a bit more of an angle of how to, best advise. But I don't think you can go too far wrong with the Smart 3. I mean, there's so much to choose out there EV wise. Wouldn't say that's a bad choice. Wouldn't say it's a smart choice. Sorry, but it's not a bad choice.
Yeah. And to be fair, I was in the Geely EX5 last week, and I couldn't really. The interior fit and finish was very good. I was very impressed of how well screwed together it was. So if Smart follow any of those trends, I mean, and Geely is a massive auto manufacturer. The number of brands they own, isn't it? Is it Lotus, LEVC, Smart, Lynk & Co? And do they own all of Volvo, or is it 50%
Volvo and Polestar? Yeah.
Polestar.
I would say that, Geely is supposed to be the ones that are going to be favoured to take over from BYD, because BYD, there's only certain negative stuff going on with them at the moment, and Geely this is what I hear in some of the EV space, but yeah, they seem to have a good footing, don't they? Bevolution UK, Peugeot got rid of the 3 individual seats as apparently customers didn't need them anymore. The rearmost seats are pretty decent, unlike the EQB. That's a big old bus, the Mercedes EQB. So next one here.
It's deceptive. It's kind of it's not huge, but yeah, it's an odd seating out. The rear seats in that were better than I thought they would be, but you have to slide the middle row quite a long way forward to make any use of them.
Commuter Branchline's put in a good comment here. He's put, look at how Denmark managed the change to EV. They incentivized EV ownership, offering free parking, use of bus lanes, 0% loans for purchase, 0 road tax, free charging, and 0 purchase tax. I mean, that would have probably been a better way about it, wouldn't it? I mean, what great incentives, and then people can make the choice rather than it has to, targets and putting dates in. Not saying the way, putting dates to follow. It's just this backwards and forwards, which has really kind of messed the UK up, I think.
Because Norway did a similar thing, didn't they? I mean, Norway's quite a weird case because they have that wealth fund from all the oil, which has kind of funded them to become greener. So it's a very weird kind of thing that oil has made them greener.
Yeah. So my dad's just put in there, great car. I think he misses that Volvo. Probably not so much actually, because enjoying the EV talk these days.
Also has AHA, obviously, which is a big part of the Norwegian EV revolution.
The Reverend. I like this.
The band.
How's AHA linked to EVs?
The reason that EVs in Norway got their own, AHA campaigned for something to do. They had a electric vehicle that they wanted to get marked out. There was something to do with their campaign to the government, and that's how you got the EL plates. So all the electric vehicles in Norway have all got plates that start EL or I think EJ now as well, because there's so many of them. But yeah, the electric vehicle specific plates in Norway started because of a campaign run by AHA, the band, as in Take On Me. True story. It's a true story.
So it's more thanks to Morgan Harkin or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, sorry, I was busy trying to find.
We're full of tangents. Mitsubishi Charisma's 1980s synth pop. You can't really.
You can't say that we're not balanced here. I was trying to find a peacock green Volvo V40 with the BBS wheels, but I could only find this dark green one, which doesn't really do it justice. Since then, my dad put great car in there. Any experience with electric vans at all? Thinking about double cab e-transit custom, but more leisure use than work. Great question. Yeah, I mean, I think the new Ford electric transits are supposed to be pretty good. I think there's a couple of battery options. What sort of leisure are you doing, and what sort of mileage are you doing? I think that's the key thing here, because the vans, they don't tend to charge as quickly as the cars out there, and the range tends to be depending on, again, what you're carrying, because there's the option of carrying a lot more with the transit. I would guess you're talking about 200 miles, but can you give us a bit more meat on the bone there, and then we'd be able to advise you a bit better. Unless Alex and Kev, you got anything to add to that?
Well, Alex has been a van man this week, so I'm going to hand over to him.
Yeah. So I've been driving around this week in the PV5. So I borrowed a PV5 standard range, kind of the most basic van one. So proper white van man stuff. So for moving house. So everything I own has been in the back of a Kia PV5. With the exception of the Polo. The only fuel that I've burned during moving house was moving the Polo from the garage at the other place to here. So I kind of ironic, really. The Polo wasn't even carrying anything apart from kind of a couple of bits out of the garage and not anything else. Everything else has moved in the Mocha that I've been driving for a while, or the PV5. It's excellent. It's really, really good. It's a really impressive van, that. It's really, really. And we had last weekend, so I've got a big pine sideboard. We were kind of shuffling everything out of the house last week. That's never going to fit in the back of the van. The van's tiny. And we measured it, and it was like, yeah, no, it fits. It's straight in. Great. It's brilliant piece of kit. And I did a long run in it last week. My only criticism with it, I had a little bit of issue connecting CarPlay up, which was because I tried resetting something on it, and then I couldn't get it to come back. So I ended up using the built-in Kia Nav. Now, on Monday night, I drove to a friend's house in Hertfordshire for UK Car of the Year judging the next day. And it was driving rain. It was freezing cold, and I was losing range, like just going down and down and down and down. It wasn't a particularly pleasant first start to the journey, because obviously you can't get away from physics. It's not a particularly aerodynamic vehicle, and it was absolutely hammering it down. It's freezing cold, and I had the heaters on to kind of keep the windows clear and stuff. But by using the nav in it, somebody has set a setting, and I cannot find it anywhere, where it won't go under about 35% of range without trying to find somewhere to charge. So I stopped midway to top it up, and then as I got closer to my mate's house in Hertfordshire, I was like, oh, it must be close, because it's taking me down back roads and all the rest of it. And I realised it was trying to find a charging point for like 4 or 5 miles away from my mate's house because it was just under that 35% mark. So aside from that, on the way home, it was very, very easy. I was doing sort of 120, 130 miles of range. I was getting out of it in quite cold conditions on the way back. It's not too bad, really, for what it is. It drives really nicely. The cabin's got massive windows, so the armrests on the doors are like way, way down at almost like thigh height. Visibility is fantastic in it. It's got all the right tech. It's great. It's a brilliant van.
And they do that as a 5-seater, don't they?
They do it as a 5-seater, yes.
I suppose the question would be there, what are you using it for? Because arguably you could go for the 5-seater, the MPV style one, and use it in a similar kind of way. And it's like 28 grand cheaper than the ID Buzz.
It's 38. It's about 38 or 39,000 pounds in top spec. So with the bigger battery option and all the extras on it, I mean, it's just an absolute steal, that car.
I think the benefit of maybe looking at the Ford, Kia, it's proven efficiency, reliability, quality, all the rest of it. Where you might luck out on the Ford is getting a big discount, because I am 99% sure if you go in there and negotiate hard, then I think you could get a strong deal on an electric van from Ford. Because I'm pretty, bearing in mind the ZEV mandate and the targets and all the rest of it, and Kia have only just come out their van and it's won all these awards and everyone's very interested in it, whereas the Ford is probably a little bit old news. I think that looking at the range compared to the PV5 and the Transit and look at the charging speed, it's more or less the same. So if you're willing to take a bit of a risk on the warranty, you're keeping it within the manufacturer's warranty, and efficiency isn't as important maybe, then, and you want a big discount, I think Ford is the way to go. What do you guys think? Would you agree with that advice?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it's noticed you said that there's one thing you said about reliability. Could you have imagined saying that about Kia 20 years ago?
It never came into the question because no one bought Kias.
When it was, what was the one which is a Mazda 121?
Pride.
But Pride,
Kia Pride.
Yeah, so it's like how these brands have massively improved,
The
fact I think probably
no one would buy them, so no one would care about the reliability because no one would buy them in the first place.
Yeah, but I think you've got a longer warranty, haven't you, on the Kia over the Ford? Is Ford still a 3-year one?
Yeah, so I think those are the things that I would add into the next. Go and drive them both. That's probably the key, isn't it? Used Pro Plus. I'm not sure what Rodney's talking about.
Smart.
Okay. Yeah, as long as it's within manufacturer's warranty, check battery and motor, because sometimes some of the manufacturers, they don't warranty the motor as long as the battery. So it's just something to be aware of there. Blumenette, we're getting close to time. Commuter branch line. Denmark then raised the tax on combustion cars, combustion fuels and VED. I read on a forum that at one point it was cheap to buy and run a Tesla Model S than it was a Ford Focus. Go Denmark. Not sure what that meant. Norway has punitive registration fees for new vehicles that run into the thousands, so there's definitely a stick to put people off buying ICE cars. I'm a bit lost with Rodney now. Sorry, mate. Not in a bad way. Bevolution UK. Interesting fact: Norway and the UK have similar levels of resident off-street parking. Just proves it can be done. Yeah, it's really interesting, actually.
The other thing, though, the factor as well with that is that I know that in Oslo, for example, you used to be able to drive in. You would use the taxi lanes to get in. You get free charging when you were in there. So it was a complete no-brainer. And people actually ended up coming out of public transport and using EVs because it was cheaper to just drive into the town, park, charge for free, and then just hoik your way back out of town on the express in the taxi lanes and the bus lanes. Because it was so cheap to run, compared to anything else there. But my brother lives in Norway, and yes, it is very, very expensive to run a car that uses any fuel out there. But it's also expensive comparatively to most of Europe to run an EV. So it's just everything there is astronomically expensive. It's just an EV happens to be slightly less astronomically expensive than anything else.
Beer is really expensive in Scandinavia as well. We're going to go to Sweden, and it was just like so expensive.
I did a project years ago, an EV project, and I was on the advisory board for it. I paid like 20 2016, and one of the rounds of we met up every few months to discuss the project and how it was going and so on. And every time we met up, we had like a £10 drink token to use with our dinner. And ordinarily you could get a couple of beers for that, but in Norway you couldn't get one. No, it was 12 quid for a beer in the place that we went.
Bloody hell! Yeah, no one wants to live in a place like that. It seems Elon is fully focused on robotics. I don't disagree, mate. He is full self-driving now, isn't he?
But I suppose you could argue that Model S and Model X were getting very long in the tooth from a car design point of view as well. So they haven't had the improvements that 3 and Y have to make them cheaper to build, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, he's a disruptor in markets, isn't he? He's on to his next market to disrupt now, isn't he?
But why hasn't he done? Why can Kia do a van like the PV5, and why hasn't Tesla got a van like the PV5?
Yeah,
they've done the Semi, and they've done the Cybertruck. Little van like that with a kind of a range of different wheelbases and roof heights and stuff. It's kind of feels like a bit of a missed. Oh, I've scared Tim off.
Yeah, I think they were talking about doing something on the Cybertruck chassis. I'm sure they were, but yeah, I'm sure there'll be a surprise coming at some point.
But there's probably something they could do on the Model Y platform to make a small van, especially they got the stretch one, haven't they? Coming soon for China. Is it out of China, the extra row of seats one with a stretch?
So soon, if you buy one of their Optimus robots, it'll probably give you jump on its shoulders, run you to work. You know, that'd be hilarious. Anyway, 200 miles would be good. Couple of mountain bikes and some light camping, bench seat bed. Yeah, I think I'd be tempted. I don't know what the arrangement is for the PV5, the MPV, but
it's not as cleverly packaged. As an MPV, the second row of seats is not quite as neatly packaged as it was in our Rifter, where they drop right into the floor. You've got you lose quite a bit of load height to the seats. It's still a very clever car, but it's not quite. It doesn't turn into a van in the same way. I haven't seen anything that turns into a van in the same way from an MPV as the Rifter does.
We'll see.
We'll
see what happens with the Stario when it gets launched here.
Yeah, that's true.
The Hyundai Stario is coming this year, isn't it? Which will be another option.
What about the? There was a Citroen that Johnny Smith on Late Break Show was reviewing, and it looked like the new. Is it going to be like the new Picasso?
Yeah, Picasso, yeah, it's a concept one.
Yeah, that looked amazing. Yeah, I would say go and drive them both. I mean, if you're not, depending on how quickly you want it, I'm sure you probably want it fairly swiftly, but and not wait for these concept cars to be built. But there does seem to be a lot of that type of vehicle coming through soon. But yeah, go and drive them both and see what the options are to make it, usable. That's the most important thing. Benjamin Cruz has got a BYD Sea Lion 7 coming in 10 days, first EV, and he can't wait. Yeah, that sounds interesting. You guys driven the Sea Lion 7 before?
No.
Yeah,
it is the Sea Lion 7. Yeah, I was getting confused. It's the Seal DMU that I was thinking of then.
Oh, is that the one you guys did the efficiency test on? Yeah, you guys quite like that. Although you had the performance one, so the efficiency weren't too good, was it?
No, not really.
No, the efficiency wasn't brilliant on it. No.
Was it a nice drive though? Is Benjamin going to enjoy his new EV?
Yeah, it drives nicely, and it's nice inside. It's a nice car. But yeah, I mean, you need to go for. In terms of if you're buying one, you get quite an uplift in charging speeds on the longer range battery compared to the shorter range one.
It's a great looking. I think it's a good looking car. A lot of the BYDs are smart, and they are nice inside for the money, etc. So yeah, let us know how you get on, Benjamin. That'd be great. Rodney Jack, sorry guys, ignore my messages. I'm having a nightmare with the keyboard. No worries, mate. Cybertruck was a huge misstep. I don't know. I don't think it was a huge misstep in terms of the sector, because America obviously has so many pickups. But where did it fall short? Was it the fact that the panels were like stuck on in some places, which didn't do themselves any favors? I mean, it was a pretty robust truck. You saw a whistling diesel put it against that F-150 or 250 truck. It got battering, and it did really well, I thought. I think
it's an attention project. It's an attention project. It's not. It's not. It's more glamorous and more relatable than doing something that's equivalent to a full-size Transit electric like Ford have done. I think that's where I would have liked to have seen Tesla do something that looks a bit like a semi, but as in the Tesla semi, not just a regular semi, but do it as a van. Have it in a Ranger wheel, and you can sell it in the States in its kind of largest forms. You can sell it in Europe in sort of slightly detuned forms. There's much more in terms of the Tesla mission statement, as you'll know, was all about accelerating this path to kind of zero emission mobility. And for me, the Cybertruck doesn't really do that.
Well, I personally think that it wasn't necessarily a misstep. I mean, this is probably coming from a very positive Tesla camp point, but position. But I think it's because, yes, okay, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't groundbreaking. I personally quite like the look of it. I know it's a bit Marmite for a lot of people, but it was at the same time as there was a lot of negativity against Elon. So I think that just so much of that negativity and people drawing, it was at the same time he was doing hands in the air and stuff like that. So I think that probably went against it quite a bit. I personally think if there wasn't that political friction, I think it would have done a hell of a lot better. Be interested to see what everyone else thinks. Commuter branch
massively
line,
overcomplicated vehicle that slowed them down doing the important stuff, I think.
Well,
it got people talking. And I think that it will come a point in, I don't know, years to come where the surviving Cybertrucks will be quite desirable as a kind of an odd object. I think it's a future classic. I don't like it, but I think that they will be quite coveted in years to come because they're going to be a moment in time, aren't they?
Are they really not selling that many new now? Is it like literally gone to very small numbers?
Selling that many now. I mean, it's the very symbol of a something, isn't it? Unfortunately,
but you can think from that concept thing, though. Other cars have come out of it, like the Polestar TRX concept, which is very Cybertruck-esque. So that sort of pointy design does it. It does draw attention to itself.
Yeah,
I think technologically it's an interesting vehicle. I think it's possibly held up doing other things like a small, the sub Model 3, something that you can sell as a kind of a Honda Civic, Volkswagen Golf, depending on your perspective, something smaller that maybe could be adapted into a small commercial vehicle as well. Maybe I don't know. For me, I don't think I can see the reason for it. I just don't see it as being the next one down the order. It's very American focused. It's very divisive, and it's got some quite massive flaws in terms of actually being a working commercial vehicle. No doubt an impressive vehicle from an engineering perspective, but I don't. Yeah.
So commuter branch lines just put Kia is a far better prospect than a Ford due to its range and warranty. Unless Ford discount heavily, a 0% Kia will slaughter them in sales. VW Buzz will struggle at 30k premium over the Kia. Yep, completely agree with that. Cartoon Boy, Tesla need to up a state Model 3 or a 2-seater pickup for business. Well, that 2-seater autonomous car is going to, I think, coming with steering wheel and pedals now, isn't it? That's a weird looking car. It's almost like a CRX, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like the Goldie one that they've done. Be interesting to see if that comes into the UK and European markets. Central drive position on that Picasso, amazing. Yeah, that is a cool car. And just last one for commute branch line, Kia PV7. For me, I have 4 kids and a wife in tow. From a value, range, warranty and capacity point of view, the Kia looks untouchable. Politics, higher pricing, lower range, and inflation undermined Cybertruck. Yep, I think you're bang on. Absolutely bang on with that, in my opinion. Any more questions? I think we're right at the end. We're a bit over, aren't we, chaps?
We've overrun.
We're a little bit over. But I think, we've had a really good session. Thank you, everyone, for climbing aboard and popping in the comments, etc. We're probably going to do a few more of these because I'm conscious that there's a lot of people that do need support on transitioning to electric, whether that's used, new, and I think all 3 of us can give recommendations from our different experiences. So hopefully we have been of use to some people today. But if people are looking for support, send them to the YEV podcast, and I'm going to be doing some more videos on EV help coming soon. I've got a video coming up Wednesday, which is all about what happens if your Tesla Model 3 battery goes wrong. And it does kind of apply to other electric cars as well, because we're now at the point where to swap out your EV battery is actually cheaper than swapping an engine in a car. So check out that video on Wednesday. Evolution PEV5 is coming with 7 seats. Oh, that's good. Yes, please. Great chat. Good man. Thanks. No worries. Guys, you got anything else to add? Or shall we leave it there?
Yeah, no, I think we're pretty much covered here. So yeah.
Well, thanks everyone once again, and